I've got a fun card to show you today, and it features designer series paper of any kind. Today I'll be using the Happy Forest Friends designer series paper, and this is a card that lets you show off both sides of the DSP, so you don't have to choose. But before then, I want to give a few reminders. My Sweetest Cherries Class to Go, I was going to pull the punch here. My Sweetest Cherries Class to Go is open for registration. There are several options to choose from. Option 1 includes the bundle and a package of in-color designer series paper, a package of decorative matte dots, supplies to make 8 cards to each of these 4 designs. Not sure where I'm supposed to be. Reverse things here. Whoops. And that one. So cards are super fun, summery, bright, cheerful colors. I love all of them. And of course, the PDF tutorial and shipping is included. For option 1, for, what is the price here? $75. Option 2 is all of those things except the bundle. And that is $48. And option 3 is always the PDF tutorial only for $15, which you can buy right now in my PDF store at stampinpiece.com, and it's available to download immediately upon purchase, and that is $15. And of course, if you join my Merry Stampers team, you will get free access to all of my Class to Go PDF tutorials. So that's a great perk for joining my Stampin' Up team, and one that many of my team members like to take advantage of. So you'll want to check out all that information on stampinpiece.com about the Sweetest Cherries Class to Go. The other thing I want to remind you about, and I was just going to pull a couple out here, is that we now have our kits for the kit collection, online kit collection. You just go to maryknabe.stampinup.net, and or you go to stampinpiece.com, click shop now, and then when you're in the shop now section of the online store, look for kits collection. All of our kits in that online store are buy one, get 50% off. And here's one of them. This is one of my favorites. Let me see if I can get a little closer. I'm in the wrong place here. This is called A Million Thanks. The cards are gorgeous. And one thing about the buy one, get one half off for the kits is Stampin' Up! Is giving us, in addition to it being a great deal, they're giving us even more bang for our buck, because you can get, if you've got kits priced differently, you can get the more expensive kit half price, which is unusual for buy one, get one half price sales anywhere that I've seen. It's usually the less expensive one, but to get the more expensive kit at half off, enter the less expensive kit in your order first, and then follow up with the more expensive kit, and that will give you 50% off that more expensive price. Here's our latest kit. This is a great, fun summertime activity. It's like a mini, it's called Love This Memory Notebook Kit. So it's sort of like a mini scrapbook. It would be something fun to do with kids, grandchildren, that sort of thing. And Another very popular one has been Light the Candles card kit. I know it was out for a while, but it's been back. I have not checked inventory, but basically when you're in the online kits collection, what you see right then is what's available. With that online kits collection, they try to keep a running stock of all of the different kits, but they don't necessarily, or they don't tell demonstrators if something is back order or the inventory of one kit is depleted, something like that. It will tell you that in the online store if it's still available. But this one you're gonna love. This is one of my favorites. It is the Light the Candles card kit. Super fun, great colors. And if you have any experience with our kits, you will find that they are very easy, very user-friendly. They pretty much have everything you need in there. Some require that you have some paper snips. You might choose to use an adhesive of your own rather than one that's included. And they all, in the kits collection, all come with a clear block if it's a stamping kit. So that's awesome. And I think you're really going to enjoy them. And I have decided to start doing a kit together online on the, let me think, third Thursday of each month, starting this month. So that, or not Thursday, Monday, third Monday of each month. So on Monday, June 20th, I will be here online via Zoom, and I'll be working on a kit or maybe some other project I have, or a past paper pumpkin kit that I haven't gotten to. And you can join me and other stampers and crafters just for, I'm going to call it like a 1 hour, what do I want to say? Like a power hour for crafting. Okay. We can get some kits done. We can get some cards, unfinished project, anything. And you can join me, and it's just a fun way for us to connect, to set aside a little time to get some stamping and crafting done, maybe meet some new people online that have a similar interest to you. And there's probably going to be a few surprises each month as well. So I will be sending out an email later this evening, my newsletter, and the dates for the next few months will be listed. It's free. All you have to do is join me online. Super simple. Okay. So more information to come in my newsletter. Also, the July to December mini catalog and celebration brochures for July and August have arrived at my house. So I am working to get those shipped out before Andrea and John's wedding on the 26th. So I'll be working on that this weekend. If you are in need of a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be yours, and I'm happy to send you a complimentary catalog. All you have to do is message me or email me with your full name, mailing address, and email, and I will get that out to you. If you are a customer who has ordered from me, I will be sending you one. So give it a couple of weeks, but I hope for you to get yours, but I hope to have them all in the mail by next week. So let's start crafting. I've been doing lots of talking. It's time to start creating. So I'm going to flip my camera around now. While I'm doing that, please share this video and invite others to join us. First of all, I want to show you my featured products for today. So the featured product is the Happy Forest Friends product suite. It comes with this wonderful bundle, stamp set, and lots of coordinating dies. And then it's got some awesome designer series paper. I think I'm missing one here. So that's all I have of that sheet left. But lots of fun colors that you see in nature and the forest. And you can see on the back side of these are just very simple prints that you really could use for just any kind of, what do I want to say? Any kind of card, birthdays, you know, thinking of you, whatever you have. And I'll also point out that there's a couple of sheets in here that I think really lend themselves well to some scrapbooking. So if you're into that, I think you'll find this is a nice set of designer series paper for that. Now, I said if you would like to craft along with me, that you're going to need a piece of designer series paper that measures 6 by 6, okay? 6 inches by 6 inches. You're also going to need a piece of coordinating cardstock that measures 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So you have a 5.5 inch square piece of cardstock and a 6-inch square piece of designer series paper. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the card first. Okay, here's my card. And the purpose of this card is to be able to feature both sides of your piece of designer series paper. So I'm going to show you now how to make this. It's really easy and you're going to love it. So with my 5.5 inch square cardstock, I'm going to score, let me think about this. Yes, score at 4 1/4. And this finished card will be the same size as our standard cards, 5.5 by 4 1/4. So I'm scored at 4 1/4 inches. And I'm going to use my bone folder to give that score line a nice crease. And you'll want this small flap to be on the front or the top of your card, okay? Hi there, Patsy from Maine. Nice to have you. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a 3/4 inch strip from either the top or the bottom. And you decide if you want to cut off that strip along the top or along the bottom. But I'm going to cut mine off at the bottom. So I'm going to have my top at 5 1/4 and the bottom I'm cutting off 3/4 inch. Now save this because if you make a lot of these cards, you're going to want to use this scrap for something. Then I need to cut a piece of 4 inch by 5 1/4 inch. And you can either measure from one side or the other, but where your 4 inches is depending on what you have on your DSP. I want my 4 inches to be right here so that I get more of the featured animals. If I do it here, I'm not going to have both of the bears, and this one bear is going to get cut off. And he's sort of a focal point. So I want to have as much of him there as possible. So basically what you're doing is cutting so that you have a 4 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece and a 2 inch by 5 Oh, did I cut that right or did I cut it 4 1/4? No, that's correct. So you'll have a 2 inch wide piece and a 4 inch wide piece. Now the 2 inch wide piece, you're going to cut in half. So that's at 1 inch. And one side, we're going to use the front and one piece, one strip, and the other we're going to actually flip over. So you can decide what you'd rather have. Looking at my designer series paper, I'm going to keep this one the front and I'm going to flip this one over where I need the back showing on my card. Now, this is a little unusual. Before I put the designer series paper on my card base, I'm actually going to put my work from the center with my basic white in the middle. And the idea here is, I'm just going to kind of show you before we put it together what it's like. So the idea is, when it's closed, I'm going to show you the main print and then that coordinating print. When I open the card, I now see the coordinating print, and the strip of this main print, I'm going to put on the inside white piece. So that's what I'm going to do now. I just want to adhere this in place. Now, you know that when we want to stamp sentiment or image on the inside of the card, it's preferable, it's advised that we do that first. And that's what I'm going to do. I've got, and by the way, I should tell you, this is going to go with a baby gift that I have for my next door neighbors, Adrian and Natalie next door. They're just the nicest couple and such good neighbors and do a lot for me. And they're expecting their first baby. So I'm going to give the mom and dad a couple of children's books to help them get a library started for the new baby. Baby's due in August. So I want to stamp on the inside here, happier than happy for you. And I'm not going to adhere this piece of designer series paper first. Does anybody know why? Does anybody know why? I'm just going to lay it there, and then I'm going to stamp. Does anybody know why I'm just setting it there? Okay, I'll tell you right now. This isn't as straight as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to flip it over and try again. That's why I did not want to put my designer series paper on yet. Who said that? Kathy and Katie, you are on it. Exactly right. In case I make a mistake, I still want to be able to turn that cardstock over. So let me try again and see if I can get a little straighter this time. Oh, that's much better. The other thing is having this set in place means now I'm going to be able to center my, have a good visual if I want to center my sentiment or put it more to the left or whatever. If I were to have centered that sentiment right here, it would have been really, really close with that designer series paper that I laid down. Okay, so that's a tip. Go ahead and just lay your designer series paper in place first. Do the stamping. If the stamping is good and right where you want it, then go ahead and adhere the designer series paper next. And now I'm going to put this on what is going to be the inside of the card, just like that. I'm going to, now remember, this is how I'm going to adhere this piece to this flap with the really bright, colorful, fun side, I'll say, more animated side up. And this will be shown from the inside. So I'm going to put some, some adhesive along the outer edge of my old olive cardstock. And then I'm also going to put some adhesive along the edge, the left edge only, of my designer series paper. So that way, when I adhere these, I'll have both edges in place nicely with adhesive. And it's not, you know, if I put it just here, this might be flapping up. If I put the adhesive just here, then when I close it, this edge might be sticking up more than I want it to. And then I'm just going to lay this piece of designer series paper right on top of my white because they are the same size, 5 1/4 by 4 inches, right? So now I'm going to hold that, hold that in place, and I'm simply going to press down that flap. All right. Looks like I have a teeny tiny bit of adhesive there. All right. And then, of course, with my last piece of designer series paper, I'm going to put that right here. And this will get centered on that small flap. And then from here, you can decorate the front any way you like. I'm going to do a couple of things here. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm going to die cut some trees from Old Olive cardstock, and I'm also going to stamp and die cut a tag. Let's see. I don't think this is quite wide enough. And I like to work in odd numbers because I'm using the trees sort of as an embellishment, I guess you could say. So I'm going to cut 3 of those from my cardstock. And I want to just trim this down a little bit here, so it'll fit nicely in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, my mini boss here. You know, the last time I used my mini paper trimmer for a Facebook Live, somebody asked me, is that a Stampin' Up! Product and can they get it? And I don't remember, the message came in after the live and I don't remember, or I noticed it after the live ended, I should say. And I don't remember who asked me that, but that mini paper trimmer was a joining exclusive, probably several years ago already. And then they had made some available for Stampin' Up! Demonstrators to buy from our supply list. So I love it. I wish we sold it because I find it very handy, but I'm sorry to say, no, we don't. It's been several years, and like I said, it was a short time exclusive promotion for people joining Stampin' Up! And then there was a short time that we could order that as demonstrators. I need a scrap of white. And I'm going to stamp Hello Baby. I'm so proud of myself that I'm really ahead of the game here. Now I have some of these already cut that just say hello, but I don't think that's what I want. Here it is. So I'm going to stamp Hello Baby, and I will stamp that also in the Old Olive. I had everything ready and laid out this morning for the Facebook Live before the power went out and the internet went out. And then I kind of cleared everything away. I have a window right over here, so it was just light enough for me to do some designing and some paper cutting and things like that. So that's what I worked on, but then I feel like I'm fumbling here for all the things I need for the Facebook Live I'm doing now. But oh well, I was able to remain productive while the power was off and on a couple times and the internet was out. So it still was a good productive day. Now, here you can see I put my sentiment at the bottom, and basically because I wasn't sure where I wanted that, I might change it up this time and move my trees down a little bit. I don't know, I kind of still like it at the top a little better. So I think I'll stick to that plan. But it was kind of low because I didn't want it to cover up too much of this cute little fox either. But I'm going to stick with that plan. The first thing I'm going to do is adhere my trees. Actually, on mine, on my sample, I put one flat and then two on dimensionals. I think I'm going to put all three on dimensionals this time. I felt like that middle one got a little bit lost. Now, there is not much room at all here for dimensionals. So what I did is I just took a sheet of mini dimensionals and cut them in half. And if you cut that sheet in half, you're left with these little half mini dimensionals, which are really narrow. And I'm just going to use two of those to adhere each of these trees. Right? There's a will, there's a way. So it's handy having these mini dimensionals, but even still, there are times we want something even smaller. And this is a good example of that. And you can just take your paper snips and snip those dimensionals real easily. Oh yeah, I'm going to like that much better with that one popped up. This stamp set, the Happier Than Happy, it has this little icon down here. It says $1 million. This was designed in part by Diane Dimmick, who is one of the $1 million sales achievers with Stampin' Up. And that is part of the reward for reaching $1 million in personal sales in your Stampin' Up! Career. So I hope to get there someday. I've got quite a ways to go, but I hope to be there someday. And I love that now they started putting the name of the $1 million achiever inside the catalog for those special stamp sets. Oops, not sure what's happened there. Keep pulling that off and it won't stick. So now I'm deciding if I want to move this someplace different. I think I am going to try putting this one someplace a little different. Maybe right here. I will be giving this card away, so hang on. All right, here is my Cajun Craze linen bow, linen thread bow. However, we do not sell Cajun Craze linen thread or Cajun Craze baker's twine. So let me show you how I came up with that. Here's my, I used just a regular piece of linen thread, cut it just a little, probably about that length to get my bow. And then I used my Calypso Coral dark marker. Okay, Calypso Coral dark marker. And I just simply color along that piece of linen thread. You can do the same with baker's twine. You can even color ribbon. Especially we have that white crinkled seam binding ribbon that's real thin. It's about 1/4 inch wide, but very sheer thin ribbon. And that colors really nicely as well. But you do need the alcohol Stampin' blends. Our regular, original Stampin' Right markers will not work. Well, I take that back. It will work. It will color them, but because our regular Stampin' Right markers are water-based, it can have the chance to get the ink will rub off onto your card, maybe onto your fingers while you're tying it. So the best thing to use is our Stampin' Blends marker because they're alcohol-based, which dries more quickly and dries more completely. All right. So that's a tip. If you want to customize your baker's twine, your linen threads, your ribbons, even embellishments, rhinestones, pearls, lots of our embellishments can be colored and customized with the Stampin' Blends markers. All right, so that's how I colored that and then made this bow. And I'm going to put it right up here. And I'll just use I'm going to use just a dot of glue and cover up that little hole there. It's probably a little bit more glue than I need. And then I want that to stay in place for a bit. So you've probably seen this tip. This is what I do. If I have a tiny bow with a tiny knot, a lot of times I like to use the mini glue dots to adhere my bows. However, when it's something tiny like this, even those mini glue dots are really too large. So just use a dot of glue and then set one of your clear stamping blocks on top of it. You don't even have to press, just leave it just like that and give it a few seconds to dry. Now, I'll bring that back in. So basically, that is how you make that cute card showing both sides of designer series paper. One thing. Now, what do you do with something like this? Okay, this is one of those, came from this. All right, I used this portion to make a card, and I used this portion to make a card, and this is what I have left over. So for something like this, think about when you're cutting, think about where you want to cut before you actually make the cuts. All right, we started with a 6x6 square just because it was simple and easy. What you really need is a 6 by 5¼ inch piece if you don't want to worry about cutting off that little strip from the top and bottom. But many of you like to use the 6x6 designer series paper, or I know a lot of people who even take their 12 by 12s if they're card makers and cut it down. But what I want to show you here is really think about where you're going to make your cuts. So let's demonstrate that right now. And if you have one of these quilting rulers, I don't know if there's a special name to it. I just know you can buy it in the sewing section at like the big box craft stores. Get it online, but it's made for quilters, really. So I'm going to think about that main section of our card, and we use a piece of 4-inch wide by 5 1/4 inch piece of designer series paper, right? So this would be kind of a nice spot to feature right here. Or I might want to feature this area of the designer series paper with the mountains and the trees and the flowers and berries and such. That would be nice also. Or maybe I want to get this bird in here somehow. And I'm going to choose this down here. So that's something to think about. If it's just designer series paper that has random patterns and colors, that's perfectly fine. But if you have larger images with different focal points, think about it that way. So let's go ahead and do a couple more cards. I want to get this cute little bird in here. So I'm going to cut, and I'm going to go with the 5 1/4 instead of 6 inches. Okay. So I've got 5 1/4 by 6 inches here. And I'll use that to make one card. And then I want to make another card with the top here. What do you think? Should we do the mountains and trees? Or should we do the owl in the tree with the fox? Any thoughts? What would be your preference? If you were doing this Facebook Live right now, what would you choose? Let's see who has a suggestion there. Oh, the mountains. I never thought about them being tense, but absolutely they could be. It could be whatever you want it to be. Looks like the owl and the tree, the fox. Okay. Oh, a couple mountain people. Okay. Gosh. Now you're making it hard because we're kind of split. Okay, I see more owl and fox now. All right, so let's do it that way. So again, I'm going to start with, you could start with 6 by 6. I'm going to start with 5 1/4 by 6. And remember to save all those scraps. We'll actually probably get some of those mountains on our card. So again, we can have this be the main section of our card. Now here's something to think about. Do we want to go all the way to 4 inches? I think so. When we put the card together, a little bit of our fox is going to get covered up, but I think that's okay because this is still our focal point and we'll still see him peeking through. So I've got my 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece here. Let me move this out of the way now. It's probably dry. And now I need to cut this 2 inch strip in half. So now I have 2 1 inch strips. One will be for the inside and one I'll flip over and make the outside. And since I have my cutter out right now, I'm going to keep on cutting. So let's see. I think I'll have this cute little bird here. Oh, I've got this cute bird too, though. Oh, maybe I'll go this direction because that bird's maybe a little more centered too. So there's my 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece I need. I'm going to cut my 2 inch strip in half. And look, it's that little bird is going to get kind of clipped there. But I think it's still very doable. Nothing's perfect. We make it right. And then to make those 2 cards, I'm going to need 2 5.5-inch squares. And once you have those 5.5-inch squares, you're going to score at 4 1/4. Remember, the finished cards are the same standard size, 5.5 by 4 1/4, if you follow these dimensions. Okay, so now that you've seen me put one of these together, you'll see how quickly we can make up 2 of them. I've got my white for the inside, and I'm not going to stamp a sentiment on the inside, so I'm just going to go ahead and adhere these right away and add my DSP strip as well. But again, if you wanted to stamp anything, you want to do it before you adhere the DSP to it and before you adhere this to the inside of your card. And remember that tip. If you are planning to stamp, you want to lay your DSP in place first. Okay, you're going to stamp with that DSP in place, but not adhered. And on this card design, kind of think opposites attract. Since we're using both sides of the designer series paper, think opposites attract, so that when the card is open, you have opposite sides. When the card is closed, you're going to have opposite sides. All right. Roz, I'm glad too the power, is that Roz? Yes. The power in the internet, especially the internet, can make it hard to work. But, you know, maybe that was okay, because yesterday was an entire evening, whole day and evening of doing computer work for my business. So to not be on the computer all day was kind of refreshing for me. I got lots of things cut for classes to go, did some designing, and that's always fun. Now, the easiest way, again, is to lay your designer series paper on top of that white on the inside. And you want to make sure you have your adhesive on the left side of the card base, the left side of that flap, and the left edge of the designer series paper. Simply press it down, and then all of your edges will line up nicely, and it's adhered nice and complete. Again, I'm thinking about opposites attract when I'm placing my designer series paper. I'm going to add my adhesive to the left edge of the cardstock and the left edge of my designer series paper. Line up all 4 edges of that DSP with the white layer underneath, and then fold over that flap. And then I'll finish off with the DSP on the front. Again, thinking opposites attract. That's an easy way. When you've got multiple pieces of DSP and you're using one side, back side, That's an easy way to think of it. Opposites attract. So we have opposites on the front and then opposites on the inside as well. All right, let's put something here. I don't know what. Welcome, hello. Oh, here's something. You need to know this tip too if you don't already. You may. Not sure if I like that. I'm actually going to use the So Saffron and do a little banner on each of these. But watch what I do here. So I've got a 1-inch strip of So Saffron. So that's kind of bright and fun, right? And this just happened to be a scrap that I pulled out that's 1 inch wide, pulled from my my DSP or my cardstock pack. One thing I like to do is keep my cardstock. I have dividers, but I still like to keep my cardstock in the cellophane bag it comes in, because I also keep all the scraps in there. I find for myself personally that if I have my scraps with the large sheets of cardstock, I'm more apt to use up those scraps rather than having them in a separate place or in a bin mixed with others, that sort of thing. And I'm just going to cut this. I don't really know what size I want it just yet, but you know, I probably should have used my cutter. Make sure it's straight, right? But I think you're gonna like what I show you with the stamping here. So these are just going to be about 2 3/4 inches long, which should work just fine. Now I'm going to take, what I really want is a little banner that says "Welcome Baby." So I'm going to basically combine these by doing this. Here it is. And I'm trying to decide what, you know what, I'm going to stick with the Old Olive ink that I've already been using. Let me move some of these things out of the way. Jeez. So I'm going to, on a piece of white, stamp "Welcome." I'm actually going to stamp it twice. And then on the other one, I want to stamp just "Baby." Now this can be kind of tricky because "Hello, Baby," both words on the same stamp, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some washi tape. We don't currently have any washi tape in our annual catalog. There is some coming in a set in the new July to December catalog. So you can look, I can't remember which suite it is. Maybe the Halloween suite has a set of 4. So now that I've covered up the "hello" with that comma, because I don't want that, I only want to stamp "Baby," I'm going to ink this up, and then I'm going to remove that piece of washi tape. And I'm going to stamp "Baby." I'm going to, because I'm making a second card, I'm going to do the same thing. Cover up the "hello" with the comma. Use your fingernail or a piercing tool or something to really press that down around the words you don't want, or the letters you don't want. Ink up your stamp, remove, the washi tape and stamp your word. So now I might have to restamp that welcome because I think that edge might show when I die cut. So I'll flip it over like this. So now I'm going to pull back in my mini boss, as I sometimes call it. I've got that little label die, and I'm going to die cut each of these words separately. I think you're going to like how this turns out. Hope you're all staying nice and cool and well hydrated too. Don't forget that. I know much of the country, like here in Ohio, is experiencing way above average normal temperatures. So the heat, and depending on where you are, the humidity can be really oppressive as well. So just keep yourself safe. And those of you who are without power especially, or if you know somebody who doesn't have air conditioning and you can reach out to them, have them over or take them a fan or something, I know that is often appreciated. Just a nice thought for us to watch out for each other. Really, Carol? It's cool in Connecticut. Maybe we'll have to come visit you if this heat happens much longer. Okay, there we go. So now we have all of our little pieces to finish off our 2 cards. So what I'm going to do is just connect these small pieces like that. And I'm just going to do that with, I'm going to bring in my silicone mat so I don't have glue everywhere. Just going to add a little glue dot. And then I'm going to add the welcome on top of the baby banner at an angle so that you see both words nicely. And I need a little bow. Now I've already colored my linen thread with the, whoops, let's move that so I don't have old olive ink all over my place here. I'm going to go ahead and color another length of the linen thread because I can give that a little minute or two to dry while I'm making the first bow and finishing off the first of the 2 cards. You might need to just kind of move that twine or ribbon or linen thread, whatever you're using, kind of roll it along so that you get it all colored solidly. Or if you just want to do a little bit of ink, that works well too. You get sort of a variegated look if it's not completely solid. One thing you'll notice too, when you color the linen thread or the baker's twine, the ribbon, it will be slightly stiffer after it dries. It's not a big deal. It's still very easy to work with. It'll just feel a little different since you've added that. Oh, I got probably too much here. Since you added that alcohol ink to it. And if your ribbon or twine, whatever's a little thicker, it takes a little bit longer to dry. So that's why I like to color it ahead of time. It doesn't take long to dry, but I just find that I would rather color it and let it dry completely before I tie the bow. Okay, so there's one. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make a fun banner like this. Maybe that might be, okay. So let me add, try and decide if I want to pop up both of these. Yeah, I think I'm going to. Why not? Well, I'm going to put a third one on, just in case. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge, the left edge of the So Saffron, because I'm going to put my bow there. So rather than all of it being at the edge, it's more, stands out a little bit more on that banner, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to do that. Lay my clear block on top to give that a moment to dry while I'm putting the second set of banners together. I like when I can show you some different ways to use products. And a good example of that is just this little label tag. Now you have another way shown to you that you can use that. Actually, I know several people who are expecting babies, several young couples. Adrian and Natalie next door are expecting a boy in August. Around the corner, Kayla and I think her husband is Jeremy. They're expecting a little girl in October. Andrea and John have a friend. They're expecting their first baby, a girl, in November. I mean, it's just, wow, something in the water. I don't know. But it's exciting. It's exciting to get to know some of these young people and their young growing families. That's what I really enjoy about my neighborhood. We have many people that are empty nesters, middle-agers like me, and then we've got a number, not a whole lot, but some older yet, and then we have lots of young couples and some very young families, or those starting young families. So it's really kind of neat. I enjoy that. All right, so now let's put these finished pieces on, and you can kind of play with these. Let me move this. I'm still getting used to my new workspace, and so I'm constantly watching where I am in my screen for you all. Okay, I like that there. We could put it in the middle, we could put it low, but it hides that bird. But I think this is a nice place because it kind of covers up this empty spot. It brings more attention to that flower, and it doesn't get in the way of these little fun things down here. Oftentimes we don't think to layer our, might need a little more drying time. Oftentimes we don't think to layer our banners, but it is a fun thing to do. I think it just gives you, I think there's just more added interest when we can do that. Now, oh, this is going to be tricky for me. You might need to help me here. I definitely don't, oops. I definitely don't want it in the middle. Bottom is okay, but I really like seeing these bright red berries, so I think I'm going to go at the top. What's your thought? Would you do the top? All right, so what do you think? Okay, so now I have lots of baby cards made, not babies, baby cards made for the new babies coming. So I'm excited about that because I had made the sample ahead of time. Do I really need two of the same? No. So I'm going to send this card off to one lucky winner. If you would like to receive or have your name entered into the drawing to receive this card, please type in the comments now, Happy Forest Friends. Happy Forest Friends. Okay. That is the name of the product suite that I featured today. That includes the Designer Series paper. It includes the Happier Than Happy stamp set with the dies. And it also includes, let me look it up here. There's also a nice ribbon combo that goes with this product suite. I'd love to show it to you, but I've already cut it all up to go out in the Class to Go kits for those who purchase the Happy Forest Friends. But it's right here. It is great ribbon. It's a cotton twill. It's thin, it's flexible, it's easy to work with, and comes in a set of two. You get 1/4 inch wide old olive and I think it's 3.5 or 3/8 inch wide Sahara sand, and just go perfectly with the DSP and the whole theme of the Happy Forest Friends. Oh, I just noticed my little Post-it note here. Did you see that? If you did the catalog walkthrough with me, if you didn't, you can find it on stampinpiece.com, probably going a few weeks back. But I had this Post-it note here. The Happy Forest Friends was my favorite suite for kids and babies. I know many of you have grandchildren too. Great suite to use when making cards for your grandchildren, whether it be I miss you or happy birthday or enjoy your summer, whatever it may be. All right, everybody, there you go. Some fun cards for today. I've got 3 baby cards now for the 3 little new neighbors coming soon or over the next few months. And I've got one to send to one lucky winner as well. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. I'm going to go upstairs and make dinner for Emily and I. We're having bacon, tomato, avocado sandwiches. So kind of a fun summer meal. And then I will be back tomorrow, which is already Friday, at 2 p.m. for another Facebook Live and some sort of creative project for you. Not sure what that is yet. I have a couple things in mind. But I hope you will join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, Stay safe, stay cool, drink lots of water, and happy stamping. Bye-bye.